You may have thought about this before, or maybe you've seen other businesses in your area offering cash incentives to their paying customers. And you might be thinking, like, is there really a benefit to cash? Like, should you really be doing this? And really, what's happening here? Are they trying to evade taxes? Really, what's going on? So today I'm going to talk about whether or not it's a good idea to offer a cash incentive to your customers, things to look out for, and maybe some benefits that you might see by doing that. Keep in mind, also not really a good idea to just assume that businesses offer cash discounts. So don't be going into a business and just dropping some cash and be like, hey, I'm paying you in cash. You want to give me a little discount for that? No, just don't assume that. There's only a few businesses that I see around that do that offer this kind of discount. So just don't assume that everyone's doing it, because you might look like a douche while you're doing that. So what's the first benefit of having your customers drop some cash for you or your business? And the primary benefit is that you save on merchant fees. You know, if you accept credit cards or debit cards, any kind of those electronic transactions, if people pay you in cash, you know that there's legit, that there's no fees. They really can't do a chargeback on your business at some further point in the future. So that's a big benefit there, okay? Now, you know, some people might argue that you can accomplish the same thing with like maybe a check, but you know, checks, you have to wait for the bank to clear the checks. Sometimes people write fraudulent checks, that kind of stuff. So cash is a little bit more secure than checks in terms of like getting banks to clear your deposit in a timely fashion. Also, with credit cards and debit cards, like I mentioned before, customers have the ability to do a chargeback at some point down the road if they are, let's say, a less than ethical person, or if they were for some reason unsatisfied with your product or service and they didn't want to deal with you or talk to you about it, they might just go ahead and do a chargeback, which can really hurt your business. You know, luckily that doesn't really happen that much, at least, you know, in my business, from what I've seen. Of all the you know, hundreds and hundreds of clients we have, only a handful of chargebacks so far in the past few years. So, but either way, the process is super painful, annoying, frustrating, and you feel like you got to make a case to the credit card company of why, you know, you provided the services that you and the customer agreed upon and why they are wrong. So that's another pain point of the credit card / debit card. So one point for the cash there is fast deposits. Another point for no potential chargebacks or disputes down the road. If customers have a problem with your product or service, they have to talk to you directly, which, you know, when you're talking about relationally, is better to do anyway. You know, like, you should connect with people. You should try to connect with people and, you know, treat them as humans and don't just see them as a means to an end or take advantage of them. All right, so let's say you offer a lot of good incentives in your business for cash paying customers, and now you have a bunch of cash stacked up. Now, is there a disadvantage or advantage? Well, advantage is you have some actual physical cash. Disadvantage is that cash can be used by anybody who has it. So with a check, you know, you can't deposit the check and use it unless it's written out to you, to your name, and you endorse it. But with cash, if anybody gets a hold of it, they can use it. So, you know, ideally you want like a safe or some secure spot to store the cash before, you know, you have a chance to go deposit it in the bank. So that's the con there, is basically trying to arrange a system to keep your cash safe and secure, and then going to go deposit it in the bank. Now, if you're one of those people that think, oh, I'll never deposit the cash in your bank, well, that's also a risky move, because one, you may be missing out on things like interest income, which right now in the 2023 economy is fairly high. You know, some banks, some money markets are paying 4 to 5% interest per year, which is pretty good. Okay, so that's something you're missing out on there. Second, having a cash stored in a safe might not be the best idea, even if you have a really good safe, because, you know, things could happen. Somebody could burn down a building, or your office suite might catch fire or something, and then you just lose the cash and you don't have any backups, obviously, because it's cash. Third, you might have, you know, if you have employees in your business, you might have them be inquiring or curious about where you keep the cash. And there might be some, you know, shady stuff going on there with your employees, but hopefully you employ people that you trust, so you don't have to worry about that, okay? Really, what I recommend to everybody is just to go deposit the cash at the bank. And be careful, some banks charge you a fee to deposit cash if it's over a certain amount of money. So like, I think at Wells Fargo, for some checking accounts, if you have a business checking account, they charge you a fee if you deposit more than $5,000 of cash in any given day. So just watch out for that as well. All right. So if you're a cash heavy business, make sure you get a good bank that can support your business. The other thing with depositing the cash is that you likely should report it as income on your tax return. I mean, if you made the income through your normal trades and services and selling your products, you should report the income anyway. So some people might say, or they might think, that if you don't deposit the cash, you don't have to report the income. And while that might be like kind of true, because there's no good paper trail there, if you don't have good record keeping, it's not the right thing to do. It's illegal to underreport income. Okay, so if you made the money, you should report it as income. If you don't deposit the cash, you should still report it as income if the cash came from your normal trade of business. If you don't report the income and you don't deposit the cash, and you need stuff like, you know, a new car or a new house, you might be in a situation where you are not reporting high enough income to qualify for a mortgage, and then you got to dip into your cash and you have like this giant pile of cash here. Then you don't have the income that matches the cash. That's where things get a little hairy with the IRS, where, you know, you're buying this large house, you made a huge cash down payment, but your income doesn't really support that, your reported income. So that's where things get in trouble. That's kind of how Al Capone got busted, is by, you know, evasion of taxes, underreporting income, and then buying all this crazy shit that he had. So yeah, don't just assume that if a business is asking for cash or giving cash incentives that they're doing something shady. They just might be saving on merchant fees, credit card fees. They might be saving on, you know, the potential risk of future disputes and future chargebacks to their business. There's a huge variety of reasons why a business might offer cash incentives, and that might be something that you might consider as well. For me personally, I don't like running to the bank a lot. I'd rather pay the fee to the credit card companies to just take the money and deposit into the bank for me. I'd rather have the security of like all the transactions just being recorded and digitally reported out to the banks and all that. I'm all good with that. But if you're someone that doesn't mind dealing with cash, then by all means, maybe offer a cash incentive for your business so that customers will be incentivized to pay you cash, and therefore you have this little system, hopefully a safe and secure system, put in place for you to manage that cash. All right, that's all I got for this week. Thanks for joining me. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a like. And if you're new here, please subscribe to my channel. I'll be providing more and more free content for y'all up in the future. Thanks.
Move for a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose till I hiccup. I hit the stage and leave with money that's a stick up. She picture perfect, so I told him I'm a flick up. Bill, I'm in the mood for a change up. I leave the city and return with my change up.